Evening, folks. Now, this video was initially going to be just a regular armchair philosophy video. I was planning to film it as a live stream because, as you might have noticed, I have a new webcam. You can thank JT for that. Starving Vampires. Very kind of him, and the audio, according to him anyway, the audio seems fantastic. However, it's come to my attention that a few people are feeling down right now. And you know, like, maybe that's because of the holiday seasons. A few people can be a bit trying at times. I actually think it's the planet's influencing us right now. Negra Dancer says the audio's good. Thank you, sir. I'm very glad to hear that. I think the image is a lot better, too. But as the planets, just so you know, these are the major influences that are affecting everybody. The outer planets. Jupiter is in Cancer in retrograde. Okay, so Cancer is a very, it's about emotional health, family, I guess nurturing. In retrograde, it means the reverse of that. Questioning emotions, like dredging up memories from childhood, that sort of stuff. Like ultimately productive and for the good, but in the moment kind of negative. So, yeah, Jupiter and Cancer, instead of celebrating with your family, it's about remembering all the times your family hurt you and screwed you up. Saturn is in Pisces. Pisces is the spiritualist, and Saturn is also in retrograde. So, Saturn in retrograde in Pisces is reflecting on all the religious mistakes we made. Sorry, what does Google say? Deep spiritual lessons and confronting disillusionment. Yeah, there you go. That's a good way of putting it. Uranus is also in retrograde in Taurus. Taurus is the sign of money and wealth, and so Uranus in Taurus is financial struggles, disruptions, changes. Uranus being the planet of change, the planet of homosexuality, the planet of altar. And it's in retrograde in Taurus. And finally, Pluto is in Aquarius. Pluto's been in Aquarius for a very long time. Pluto doesn't move very much. And this is the long-term generational shift towards innovation, technology, and collective transformation. So yeah, there's a lot of dark reflection going on right now. And also an acceleration to whatever the Brave New World is going to be. So if you're feeling a bit down, you're not alone. It's just the planets. Ride the wave, baby. I know, it's ironic, but it actually predates the hunting for Klingons joke, okay? Now, as the topic of this live stream in particular, it's going to mainly, the first half is going to be a presentation, and then I will try, I'll engage it somewhat with the comments. If you got questions, problems, concerns, toss them into the comment section. I'll see them. But just 2 nights ago, I did a reading on the United States, on Canada, as defined by the Laurentian elite, and on Alberta in particular. Alberta being my homeland. Because I've been trying to discern for myself what my choices are, what direction I should be going in. So I wanted to see what the weaves of fate were for the US, Canada, and Alberta. Now I need to add some caveats to all of this, to some contextual aspects. When we're talking about scrying, at least this type of scrying, it's not prophecy. It's not foretelling. It's forecasting. Okay? So when you read the weather report, 70% chance of rain. Well, are you working indoor or outdoor? Right? Like, what does this mean for you? It doesn't mean it's definitely going to rain. It just means that, you see some clouds on the horizon, and you think, wow, that looks like bad weather coming. Maybe I should get my outdoor chores done first. It's not guaranteed. It's not prophesized. It's not definite. It's just, this is where the energies appear to be heading. The second caveat is that everything I do, or at least I try to do everything in service to God, to the good, the true, and the beautiful. And if God doesn't want me to know something, then he's not going to tell me. If the second coming of Jesus is in 3 months, well, it's for no man to know. So that's probably not going to appear. If he wants us to be surprised, we will be surprised. The third is that everything is context dependent. So when I ask questions, I'm asking from my perspective. If you were to ask, for example, what's going to happen next Tuesday? Well, in what context next Tuesday? What are you talking about? What do you even mean by that? Questions only make sense when there's a questioner. And they're going to be interpreted through the questioner. And also, you can't ask a question such as, will I meet my soulmate? Because soulmate is not a defined term. Will I meet a romantic partner and fall in love with them is a question you can ask. You can then ask, what struggles will we have in this particular relationship? But ultimately, it's up to you to decide whether or not you engage with anything. If there's a forecast for rain, you can bring a raincoat. You can decide that you're going to work inside. But you can't gamble money on the rainfall, if you see what I'm saying about all of that. Thank you, Necrodancer. I pray for what wisdom I need, that it might service his plan, it might service my audience, my family, and myself for his great glory. So that said, let's first cover how I asked this question about what is in the fates for the next 5 years. For each reading, you typically use a signifier or querent card, which is the filter through which you're asking the question. So for America, I used the Three of Wands, which is a man in richly garb, standing atop a hill, looking down over the sea. And there's several boats. They might be boats going out, boats returning, but it's about trade and wealth with a golden sky behind him. Okay, and that's, to me, the defining nature of the American empire right now. That it's a trade empire, it's a sea empire, and that all of the so many of the maneuvers going on in the world right now, like a lot of it is about national security, but it's more about economic disruptions, trade disruptions, petrodollar disruptions. And so when I asked what's the fate of America, I'm not asking what is the fate of the rap scene in America or what is the fate of Southern culture. I'm asking America, the economic world hegemon. That's how I'm asking the question. Now, when it came to Canada, Canada is such a diverse place. Okay, I mean, I don't even know how many provinces we have, like 13? 15 with the territories? I don't know. It's not, what, like 49, 51 states, whatever it is in the U.S. It's not that, but there is so much diversity. However, the people in charge of Canada, the political entity, are the Laurentian elites. The Central Canadians, which means Toronto, which is on the East Coast, but it's called Central Canada. They're the ones that run the country. They make all the decisions. Justin Trudeau, Mark Carney, the CBC, the old established legal firms, like these are the Laurentian elites. This is who the truckers were protesting against. And so to say Canada, we're not talking about weed smokers in British Columbia. Okay, we're talking about the political entity of Canada, which is defined by the Laurentian elites. And so I chose the Six of Pentacles, which shows a rich man giving charity to beggars. But there's also an implicit hierarchy in this card. There's other cards in the deck about more engaging, individualized charity. He's holding the weights and scales. He's dressed quite richly. So this is a banker giving alms to the poor, which is how the Laurentian elites tend to view themselves, as just a little better than the rest of Canada and entitled to rule over us. And the final one, for Alberta, the Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands is, if you can see, it depicts a man who is he's got all the wands. The wands tend to be, it's fire, it's spirited battle, victory, competition. And this guy has won so much competition that he can barely carry it anymore. He's overburdened. And that's Alberta. There's so many good things going for Alberta. We do make a lot of money here. We are the oil and gas center, as well as the agriculture center of Canada, as well as Saskatchewan, as well. I'd include Saskatchewan in this, although they don't seem to have as much political fire as we have in Alberta. If you disagree with me, like, comment, and subscribe. Feel free to disagree with me on that. But yes, Alberta is... Every Albertan pays about $1,000 each year to support the rest of Canada. Like, we each lose $1,000 each year in taxes and transfer payments. And on top of that, the Laurentian elite are doing what they can to try and crush us. Trying to, green movement us. So, those are the perspectives. That's the filter, the lens that we're looking at each of these entities through. So, oh yes, I know what the Catholic Church thinks. Very, very familiar. I don't care. If the Catholic Church cared about Catholic doctrine, then explain Bergoglio and Leo to me. No, I think the Catholic Church has gone, So, that being said, let's pull up what the card said for America. So the first two cards, if you see, this is the Celtic Cross layout. So you've got the two cards in the middle that are crossed. The first, the heart of the matter, the other is the crossing energy. At the bottom, you've got the basis or subconscious. To the left, you've got the recent past. To the north, you've got the possible future, hopes for the future. And to the right, you've got the near future. And the column on the right-hand side, from bottom to top, is self-perception, environment, hopes and fears, and outcome. So the first two cards are the Ace of Pentacles reversed and the Knight of Wands. So the Ace of Pentacles. The Pentacles are the earth sign. They're about money, fertility, wealth, home. And the Ace of Pentacles being the primary sword, it depicts a rich, lavish garden. It typically means financial health. Reversed, it means not financial health. So, yeah, right now, heart of the matter is the economy is absolutely terrible. The economy has been detonated over the past 5 years with, with everything that's happened. And this is the number of inflation. Inflation is the number one problem that people are facing. Lack of jobs, deaths of despair because of the lack of jobs. It's the economy, stupid. And yet this is crossed by the Knight of Wands, which is, again, wands are fire. The Knight of Wands, he's leaping into battle. He's impetuous. He's eager to engage. But doesn't have much long thought about what he's doing. Now the basis, or subconscious, underlying all of this, is the Star. So the Star is a card about recovering from injury and finding new meaning. About finding new inspiration, a new reason to live after being heartbroken. So the underlying all of this is that there's this energy in America that, God, the COVID years were just absolutely awful, weren't they? And there's been so much antagonism since then. And yet is there something building? Is there hints of optimism, silver on the edges of that cloud? Next we've got the recent past. The Queen of Cups. Cups are water. Cups are emotions. And the Queen of Cups is, she's holding a very ornate cup that she likely made herself. She's very comfortable. It's emotional wholeness. It's happiness and emotional wholeness is the Queen of Cups. Reversed. Meaning lack of that. Meaning Trump derangement syndrome. Meaning the mass formation psychosis of the whole COVID era. So the recent past has just been absolute lunacy. No emotional continence. Just, yeah, people screaming in the streets. Now, the possible outcomes. The Page of Wands. The Page of Wands is, again, it's fire, it's youthful fire. And yet, unlike the Knight of Wands, who's eagerly leaping into battle. The Knight of Wands is like a football player. He's an athlete. The Page of Wands is anticipating wielding this fiery energy. He's joyful. He's curious. He's coming up with new ideas. And finally, the High Priestess is in the near future. So the High Priestess is the second card of the major arcana. The first is the Magician, and the Magician represents masculine ability. So the Magician has mastered all 4 elements. He's got symbols of the 4 elements on his table. And he represents the male virility, the ability to build machines, program computers, to understand things, to go act in the world. While the High Priestess is the feminine version of that. It's the archetypal feminine. It could be representative of Mother Mary. It's the soft-spoken truth, the intuition, the insight, the feminine form of magic. Which is very interesting for a near future card. And we're going to come back to this shortly. Finally, the last 4 cards for America. First, the self-perception, the 8 of Cups. Is that 8 of Cups? Sorry, I can't quite... The 9 of Cups. So you've got a fat guy with all the cups sitting there looking very pleased with himself. This is your typical burger American. Alright, like just sitting on your haunches, look at us, we got all the things, just self-satisfied. It's a bit of a critical cup, the same way the burger American is a critical meme, mostly made by Americans. And yet it's a very comfy and nice place to be. And yeah, it does describe America. It's literally the burger American card, is America's self-conception of herself. Next, the Lovers. This is the environment. And this one's important. The game Europa Universalis. It's like a Ritalin version of Sid Meier's Civilization. I highly recommend it. It starts in the 13th century and ends sometime in the 19th. You play as any country on the planet. With all this extremely autistic warfare, maintaining political relations and prestige of the crown, and there's random event, all this stuff. And the game developers, they said they chose these years, I forget the specific years, because these were the early days of globalism. One of the really crucial elements in the game is to control trade points, to protect them from piracy. And the more influence you have over one of the trade point nexuses on the oceans, the more income you get from that. To really put it very simply, don't attack me, Europa Universalis players. I've only put 20 hours into the game. I can barely even play it. The fact is that for all of recorded history, which is like a drop in the bucket when it comes to actual human history, but for all of recorded history, there has been a progressive trend towards centralization. I know this is a dirty word amongst our group because we don't like the people. We don't like the current crop of globalists. They don't seem like nice guys. We don't like their Saturnian death cube cult. And yet, the march towards globalization has been happening for millennia, and it's likely going to continue, short a major disaster like a global nuclear war. And even that might not stop it. This is the direction technology is heading, whether we like it or not. And that's what the lovers represents. The environment that the world is in right now is that, no, we don't get to fall apart and become individual states with, no, there's global interests all over the place. Global shipping companies, global standards for internet architecture, global everything. This is the environment, the lovers. Things are coming together. The question is, how do they come together? You can't stop the wind, but you can adjust your sails. Next, you've got the devil. Reversed. And this is hopes and fears. Now, the devil card is not necessarily the devil. Or it is, but it's like chill out about it. The devil is physical pleasure. It can be addiction. Physical pleasure can become addictive. Oh, and by the way, Merry Christmas. We are drinking Baileys because that's what I drink at Christmas time. Until I run out, then I drink whiskey. So the devil is physical pleasure. Something to note about the man and the woman, or possibly the incubus and the succubus. They're a man and a woman. And they're both chained to the devil's throne. And yet, if you pay attention, you probably can't see on the YouTube screen, but if you pay attention, those chains around their necks are not locked tight. They are loose chains. They could take the chains off at any time. They're not actually enslaved. It's also not just things like physical pleasure. It can also be financial loans that you choose to engage with. The devil is the evil of the physical world, is the evil of pleasure. Like, all this stuff is dangerous, right? You play with fire, you might get burned. But if you play with fire and you're aware of fire and you understand that and you use it in a controlled context, right? Like, if you and your wife put on the devil horns and just be sexual degenerates with each other on Friday night, and then you go back to being a normal person the rest of the week, that's how you're supposed to do it. If you're burning with lust, find somebody else to do it with, get married. The devil reversed is not this autonomous engagement with all of that. It's enslavement to it. So hopes and fears are financial slavery, the ubiquity, it seems, of the client list for Jeffrey Epstein. The devil reversed is, like, in this context, hopes and fears is that, yeah, we're ruled over by satanic, the word that gets you demonetized on YouTube, even though I'm not monetizing this video. So hopes and fears, yeah, are we ruled by evil people? Are we so massively in debt we've got no way out of it? And finally, the Seven of Swords. So the Seven of Swords, in the background there's a military encampment, and this sneaky SOB is walking off with a smile on his face, 5 of the swords in his hand. This is the card of cleverness and deception. So, taken as a whole, what does this reading say about America, about the next 5 years? It's that, like, right now, America is financially broke. They're emotionally broken, with the reverse Queen of Cups. And there's great fears about the enslavement to usury, the enslavement to sex addiction, to drug addiction, fentanyl. There's a lot of fears. And yet at the same time, there's some major positive energy coming as well. The star. the fact that we're, you know, not to sound cheesy, but the Great Awakening. That all of this crap that America's been through is leading to a Great Awakening, a greater understanding of what's going on. Combine that with the Knight of Wands and the Page of Wands, like some real, like, innovative, fiery energy. Maybe impetuous, doesn't quite know where it's going, and yet it leads to the High Priestess, the feminine, intuitive nature, the spiritual nature. And the result is the Seven of Swords. America is scooping up the resources that she needs to survive. So this is way more optimistic than I was expecting. Alright, so that is the United States. Let me catch up with the YouTube comments here. Necrodancer, thank you. The Catholic Church also outlawed crossbows. Yes, crossbow. What is the... KCD2, they have the Latin name for it, the infernal weapon, because it could shoot through full plate. And it crossbows and then muskets put an end to the whole chivalric society. But, oh man, EU4 is brilliant. I love it, but I can barely play it. I spent like 12 hours watching instructional videos before I could even play the game at all. No, there are absolutely forces at work that none of us can understand. This is why don't ask questions that you've got no right to. And always do it for the right reasons. Let's see. Speak his name, and his advocate may appear. That's why I don't usually speak names. What is the justification for the existence of Kundalini and chakras? It's the vagus nerve. Serpents are both like poison and healing are the same thing. Okay, all medicines are poisons. All poisons are medicines. You know, this is actually interesting. I just found this out. So vitamin D, I shared it on Substack. I'm going to be quick about this. Vitamin D has never been isolated. We've never isolated vitamin D. What vitamin D, the stuff you're buying, it's actually rat poison. Now, if you give low doses of rat poison, the way the poison works, it doesn't matter. If you give low doses of rat poison to people with cancer, or people, there's a few others, they've done multiple case studies, very large samples, the people get better. They have a better chance of surviving if you give them a low dose of rat poison. But there's no indication that taking rat poison actually makes you healthier. See, the poison can cause an inflammatory effect, which can cause an immune system response, which can restore you to health when you're in malaise, sometimes. But yeah, vitamin D, I'm not supplementing with vitamin D anymore. If you're sick, vitamin D makes you healthier. If you're not sick, well, it's a low enough dose that there's no evidence it makes you sick, but there might be long-term effects from it. So yeah, all poisons are medicines, and all medicines are poisons. Welcome to the world. Now, let's move on to Canada. So, the first two cards are the Ace of Swords and the Three of Swords. The swords represent air. Air being intellectual tends to be very negative in nature, overthinking things. The Ace of Swords, it's about a harsh truth or a harsh statement or a new idea. It's a very bold and blunt statement of intellect. The Three of Swords is betrayal or heartbreak. Now, these on their own, it'd be better if we just went on, because they'll make a bit more sense. Now, the basis of all of this is that, well, it's the sun reversed. The sun, you see the rider on the white steed, it's the infant Christ, it's the inspiration, the glory of the day, and it's reversed. The trucker protest absolutely defeated the Laurentian elite, to the point where one of the most popular prime ministers, sadly, had to run away with his tail tucked between his legs, only to get immediately replaced with a man who's identical to him, but apparently nobody could tell, nobody noticed that. They've lost the mandate of heaven. The Liberals, who describe themselves as the natural governing party of Canada, these arrogant sons of bitches, have lost the mandate of heaven. In the recent past, we have temperance reversed. So I don't think I need to go in. They overreached, they acted recklessly, they printed endless dollars. They were not temperate. Hopes and dreams. The 8, this is the 8, right? Yeah, the 8 of Wands. This is drastic action, like what they'd like to do, like institute something great right now. Let's do this. Do it! That's the 8 of Wands. It's 8 staves, like coming down from heaven. The near future is the Hanged Man. This is Christ on the cross. This is Odin initiating himself. It's the card of, it can be the card of initiation. The more prosaic interpretation is the card of sacrifice. And in this case, it's sacrifice. It just means sacrifice. Ignore the halo around the head. Mark Carney is not going to come to any great spiritual realization and lead Canada to a greater tomorrow. No, this is sacrifice. The future is that between the Ace and the 3 of Swords, you done fucked up. You broke it. You broke it. South, you lost the mandate of heaven. West, you lacked temperance. No, oh, you want bold action? No, the bold action is going to be you sacrifice. So the last 4 cards. The self-perception of the Laurentian elite is the juggler. The 2 of Pentacles right there. That he's got things in control. Look at me, I'm juggling the public opinion. And yet the environment, the actual Canadian people, we've got the 4 of Cups, which has a man sitting there with 3 cups. Now this is the card of indifference. There's heaven offering him a 4th cup. Look, I've got a 4th cup. I've got an opportunity. This is the card of missed opportunities. But in this case, as the environment, is that the Canadians do not want what the Liberals are offering. Not interested. Hopes and dreams. This is the marriage card. You've got the married couple, be past the wedding. I don't know what you call that, but you get married under that awning. Hopes and dreams are to hold Canada together. By the way, briefly, this card is very related to the Lovers with America. So the Lovers, the marriage card here, these are talking about marriages of nations, holding nations together. Hopes and Dreams are holding Canada together. And the final card is that of a sorrowful journey, that of the refugee, that of abandoning things, that of letting go. It's a swords card. Most of the swords are sorrowful cards. You're happier if you're dumb. So this right here points to the Laurentian elite being humbled and having to sacrifice something and having to let go because nobody wants what they're offering. And finally, let's get to the Albertan card. So the Albertan spread, I should say. So first of all, we got the Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands and the Star, both of which appeared in America's reading as well, didn't they? So the Knight of Wands is impetuous energy. There's a lot of impetuous energy in Alberta. As a small example, there's a lot of talk about separation with very little understanding of the political process of separation. Like, most of us Albertans were too frickin' busy working to understand the machinations of government. All we say, like, fuck Ottawa. So that impetuous energy, crossed by the Star, that, again, it's that betrayal, that pain, that destruction leading towards insight and hope. Both cards prominent in America's spread. The past. The past, that's the Ten of Swords. A guy with 10 swords in his back. Absolute overkill. Not just one sword in the back, 10 swords in the back. It's Julius Caesar. It's also reversed. Reversal implying that it's no longer happening, that we've moved past it. Although, again, recent past, we have the Nine of Swords, somebody laying awake in bed, sobbing because they can't forget the past. Alberta is furious about how we have been screwed over by Central Canada. Western alienation is a real thing. Hopes and Dreams. The Queen of Pentacles. This is she's very close to the Empress, which is a representative of Mother Nature. She is sitting at peace with Mother Nature, with a rabbit, a bunny, the symbol of fertility, going past her. This is responsible management of our resources. This is, yes, oil and gas and electricity and farming, but responsibly. We can do this in Alberta. We don't need Ottawa destroying our livelihoods. We can have a beautiful and productive country. Finally, the near future, the Eight of Pentacles. This is the card of grinding. The near future for Alberta is that we keep grinding. We keep working. The last four are the most, these are interesting. First of all, the Self is the Hierophant. We are the traditional people. We are the ones that do the work. We live the right way. We understand explicit theology. The Environment is the reversed. The reversed High Priestess, which may correlate to America's High Priestess. Now, this doesn't mean we're talking on a global stage. In this case, it's global intrigue. It's indirect engagement in politics. Right? So the Hierophant could be announcing that Alberta should leave Canada. The Priestess would be more about negotiating transnational trade unions or that sort of thing. So there's a blindness in Alberta to the wider games being played. Right? We're completely blind to the bigger games going on behind the scenes, indirectly. The feminine games. Hopes and fears. Ace of Wands. Just want to stand on our own. And the outcome? Page of Cups. Which is baptism, to put it really simply. Getting baptized, becoming holy. All of these cards speak of a future for Alberta that is not just one of stewardship of the land and of independence, but of truly becoming a healthy society. So, let's catch up with the comments. And let me, I should turn that off. There we go. Oh my goodness, there's tons here. Starving Vampire says, oh, geez, Scowls McGells says, oh, geez, we're not top chat again. Geez, I need live chat. Come on. Come on. Stop messing with me, YouTube. Where will the whims take us in 2026? Another pandemic attacking the children this time? No, let me... Final part is I'm going to bring all three of these together. But let me do the comments. In Masters of Magic terms, are things like banned weapons, forbidden magic, chakras, tarot, and even outlawed dancers better understood as spells that destabilize the global mana balance? Suppressed not because they're false, but because they're too efficient at breaking the rules of the current age. Oh, dude, man, that's a huge question. Do you want your 12-year-old kids playing around with potentially explosive chemistry? You got to learn to ride with training wheels before you can ride without them. Shoot, I'm not sure. I can't answer that, Matt. It's. You don't think there's... Okay, so... Goy Destroy Ya! Says, you don't think there's a deeper spiritual metaphysical element to the chakras other than the vagus nerve? I think it's the same thing. our bodies, including our minds, are the product of physical chemistry. And yet, Leibniz, I need to read Leibniz. Every part of reality is a fractal that's reflecting every other part of reality. This is why Jungian synchronicities occur. Sort of like you throw a rock into a pond and ripples come out. Every piece of reality, every particle, every instantiation is in communion with all other instantiations of reality. And there's this energy. Oh God, there's this flow to absolutely everything. And the more complex the thing, the more complex the musical rhythm, the greater meaning that you can put into it. And so we are fairly complex instantiations. And there's a supernatural element connected to us which perceives. It perceives the being. It perceives the reality around the being. And our chakras, which, like, chakras are, they're biological science. Like, you've got the vagus nerve. You've got, they don't, science has not discovered that they glow in the spectrum of the colors of the rainbow. Because science doesn't observe on the astral level. Okay? When you look at it from the astral level, the chakras glow at those colors. From your root chakra to your head chakra. Like, these are just parts of you, man. They're extremely spiritually significant. So are your eyes. So are your hands. So is your mind. All of these things are. You know that the present understanding of science is that they can't find where memory is stored in the brain. And there's people that are advancing the theory that memory is not stored in the brain. It's in the Akashic records. It's in the collective unconsciousness. What your brain does is it attunes to memory. It attunes to thought. And so, yeah, of course you can see thoughts on an EEG. You can see the patterns in your brains lighting up when you have thoughts. The same way that the car's steering wheel turns when you go around a corner. But it's not the car's steering wheel choosing to go around the corner, it's the driver. Right? Like, it's as if we're looking at a car, but we only have the sensors inside of a car. And we're saying, well, there's no driver, obviously. We detected that the steering wheel turned. The spiritual realm isn't... It's not like a different planet that you go visit. It's integrated into this one. We are integrated into it. It's all the same thing. And now you should be very careful what you summon with your thoughts and with your words. Like, I strongly advise against using a Ouija board. Okay? Because first of all, nobody's seriously using it. 99% of people are just fucking with it. Don't fuck with things, man. Don't go to a graveyard and piss on a random tomb at midnight on October 31st just to see if something happens. I don't know if anything will happen. But if it does, you won't like it. and you're not prepared to deal with it, and you're provoking something just to see if something happens. You know, it's one thing to do a science experiment. I wonder what will happen. I'm curious what will happen if I mix, I don't know, sulfur and saltpeter and whatever the third thing is. All right, let's see what happens. This could change the world, and it did. But the ones that did it successfully took precautions and knew what they were doing. They were not reckless in the whole thing. Don't be reckless with your words. Don't be reckless with your thoughts. Don't be reckless when you engage with spiritual entities. Be extremely cautious and extremely thoughtful of everything you do. And Ouija is... Ouija is... It's a bad idea. There's no structure, there's no principles. It's just like, hey, let's go talk to some spirits. Yeah, let's go downtown and talk to some crackheads. I hope that answered it, man. I'm not trying to be insulting, either. Because caution is warranted. I would say caution is warranted, but not dogma. Okay, recommended on astrology. I am... Oh, Jesus, in my car right now. If you got the money to blow, Hellenistic astrology. Actually, no, I've got a better one for you. Because it's free. That's what makes it really good. I'm going to copy it. And by the way, astrology, you're completely safe with. It's literally just the movement of the planets in the sky. With tarot, there's an inherent grammar to every language spoken, right? There's certain thoughts that come more readily in some languages than others. There's a grammar to tarot. So that grammar is something I'm paying a lot of attention to. But the only way you can learn grammar is to speak the language. So you do have to be cautious around grammar. Ran into a fascinating article recently arguing that John Dee cast a spell to distort the English language. Which is why that if you read old poems, like they have these words that look the same but don't rhyme. Well, they used to rhyme. And his argument is that John Dee bastardized our language as part of a dark spell to make it a universal trade language of the British Empire. Something like that. Yeah, grammar is important, but astrology is literally just the planets. So I'm going to toss that into chat. astro.cafeastrology.com is the end bit on that. That's a great place to start, very user-friendly. Let's see. I am not familiar with Riza Georgiani. I'm sorry, Metal Dude. I do not know them. Yes, Nine of Swords, Dark Night of the Soul. Recent past, Dark Night of the Soul. Well put. Imagine if you mix Baileys with Baileys. More Baileys. High Priestess, Django Geek says, High Priestess in U.S. reading to imply a female president. No. No, first of all, if it was going to be a female president, you'd get a queen. You get a queen for that. And it wasn't, and the reading wasn't about the American presidency, it was about America, the economic empire. So I would say that, like, I actually get the Empress, or sorry, not the Empress. The I always say the Empress. The High Priest. I get her a lot lately in any readings I do for myself, just because I've been working far more on my intuitive nature. So it's not, it's the female form, like it's intuition, listening to your instincts. It's about subtlety, about hiding your power level. Okay, rather than the magician is about like being overt and doing specific things, as opposed to necessarily making wise choices. Whereas, so this wasn't about individuals; it was about America as a whole. And also, if it was going to point towards a female president, you'd more likely see one of the Queen cards showing up to depict that. Although, good question. Good question. Black Pepper, glad to have you. I have went downtown and spoke with the crackheads for 3 days. Let's see. I've heard Tetrabiblios by Ptolemy is a must. The Hermes Trismegistus. What's the book? I actually have it sitting on the coffee table in there. I haven't cracked it open yet. Actually was highly recommended by the church at one point in history. Alright, so. Fascinating topic. Thank you, Django Geek. Alright, let's bring all these together. So we kind of covered the individual readings and explained the cards, what they meant. Let's start with, gotta go back here. Alright, the US. So, do you know what I'm not seeing in this reading? I'm not seeing war. I was so happy not to see war. I mean, when the Knight of Wands came up, I was really worried. Or worse, like Civil War. Civil War would be fucking terrible. So there's no civil war here. There's no international war here. Instead, what we get is reflection and insight with the star. We get the page, like hope for the future. The High Priest, that one's really interesting. I'm actually still not entirely certain what I think about that. I think it's advanced statecraft. 5D chess. But also, like, the final one, the Seven of Swords there. That sneaky fucker stealing all the swords. Instead of fighting the enemies, right? That's an enemy encampment in the background there. Instead of going to war with the enemies, he gets what he wants and he gets out. And he avoids the conflict. And now he stole their 5 swords, so they can't fight him anymore. This is... God, everything is doom and gloom these days. Right? And for good frickin' reason. Everything is doom and gloom, but this is an incredibly positive reading. Like the only... look at the reversed. The reversed are right now the economy sucks. And in the recent past, people were going frickin' crazy. And we are worried about all the negative parts of debt enslavement and pleasure enslavement, opioids, etc. This is a really, really positive reading. America seems to be getting its shit together. Alright, then we've got Canada. Now, obviously, I hate the Laurentian elite. These people disgust me. I would never, like, I'm one of the guys that was promised that, if you stay in school and you'll get, yeah. No, there's never a place for me at the table. Go fuck yourself, Aurini. Get the fuck back to Alberta. Who will take your tuition money, but you'll never get a job. I got no love for these people. And this reading here points to all of their plans failing. And finally, the Albertan reading. Betrayal, heartbreak, but we're grinding. The Hierophant here is very powerful. That this attitude in Alberta, this grind that we're all doing here, that it's not for the sake of vanity, that it is in pursuit of legitimate truth. The best outcome, the Queen of Pentacles. One of the reasons Albertans get so damn angry about environmental legislation is that we actually take very good care of the environment. It is a very high priority with us. But oil sands are evil. And the Page of Cups, like I said, the Page of Cups can, like, in this context, with the fact that there's so many spiritual aspects appearing in these reads, on these global conflicts, they all speak to deeper spiritual forces at work. And while this read is only on the North American continent, it actually kind of points the whole globalist agenda collapsing. Now, does this point to Albertan independence? I'm not sure. It kind of does. Does it point to Alberta getting absorbed into America? Not in the next 5 years. Like, we've got a lot of hard work ahead of us, folks. We've got, God, inflation is going to keep getting worse. Okay, the supply chains are still recovering. We desperately need more children, and we don't have them. There are so many things going wrong in the world right now. It's an absolute clusterfuck. And on top of that, we've got in February 20th, we've got that conjunction in Aries between Saturn and, I forgot. Saturn and which one? But it's a whole reset to the whole damn system. Try and have your shit together by February 20th of this year. Last time this happened, a cupbearer named Sargon murdered the king and took over his empire. Created the first empire. So we've got a big reset happening on how the whole game is played. And yet these cards, I guess, okay, here's my takeaway. It's that, yeah, things are bad, but the Black Death was really bad. And yet it resulted in the Renaissance. People have been through terrible, terrible times before, and we've got past them. And we're all so terrified of that global security state that those bastards in Brussels are trying to build. And that's not what I see here at all. I don't even see a hint of this. The closest you get is to the Canadians. And they have to run away with their tails between their legs. You know, that Eight of Wands at the top, like their desired outcome, is to crack down on all the dissenters, is to send their paramilitary organization that they call the RCMP. They're to kick down people's doors and put the jackboots to them. How dare you truckers honk your horns? That's what they want to do. But what they actually are going to wind up doing is being rejected and sacrificing half their goals and fucking off. Literally, the card at the top, that's Mark Carney fucking off. These readings, like, they genuinely surprised me. So, I mean, like, stay frosty, guys. Okay? Like, you know, AI's taking over a lot of jobs, and that's, we don't know how to deal with that, and we don't have enough young people, and, you know, importing immigrants isn't turning out too well, and, yeah, I know. All of that's true. But we survived the Black Death. We not only survived it, we thrived because of the Black Death. So, yeah, I'm glad I did this as a live stream. I think it was probably better to engage in it in this manner with it. And you know, I'm just going to add something. You know, there's a question: Are the cards just random? It's just statistical problem. Like, I am completely confident it's not. Because of how frickin' accurate the cards are every time I pull them out. Again, I can't tell you whether or not you're going to meet your soulmate. You can't ask that question, because that's not a real question. The answer is no. There's no such thing as a soulmate. Like what, some predestined person you were supposed to meet and that was written in heaven? No, there's people that you'll meet that you'll be attracted to. And if you assess the situation correctly and choose to follow it, then maybe a marriage will result. It's... These are just kind of the energies. You know, back when I was in my misspent youth, you know, there's some days I'd wake up, I'd be like 90% certain I was going to get laid that night. So, you know, and I was usually right. I could just sense it. And maybe it was just my vril levels were high enough. You know, it's... Which came first, chicken or the egg? Yeah, if you see clouds on the horizon, there's a storm coming. May or may not rain on you, but there is a storm coming. These are the energies coming. What we do with them, how we deal with it, how we respond to it, that is up to our free will. And they might come... This is a 5-year forecast. They could come anytime. So again, this is not prophecy. Don't have faith in this. This is not the sort of thing you have faith in. Any more than you have faith in a weather report. This is a weather report. Nothing more. Yeah, actually, yeah, Metal Dude says, the spirit world is full of charlatans. Just look up near-death experiences. They don't make sense. The other thing I advise is trying to escape when your time has come. I'm not that sort of Gnostic. I don't think I am. Assess the situation when you get there. But, they're not necessarily charlatans. Not everybody who plays a trick on you is your enemy. But when it comes to engaging with spiritual entities, which I don't believe that's what I'm doing. I'm engaging with myself. Under the guidance of the Father above. This is all me. Is that pride? I don't think so. No, it's not. No, I do have intuition. This is engaging that intuition. This is not... I'm not asking... I never ask God to guide my hands. I ask God for permission and that it might serve His will. I'm not asking a spiritual entity to do it for me, to take control of my hands or anything like that. So that's the other thing. There may be a filter from me, in particular, that biases all these results, that also needs to be considered. Like, what that bias would be is hard to say. You don't understand bias, learn Chinese. Or Lithuanian or something. Learn a drastically different language to understand your own biases. What's this? Marcel McCure. Oh dear God, I was listening to Slavic folk music, but then I saw the name of your live stream. Marcel, I'm sorry, but we just got to the part of the live stream where I got to run to the washroom. I will try and be back in under 30 seconds. Okay, I'm back. So, go back to what Mel Dude said. The spirit world is full of charlatans. No. Well, I mean, yes, but no. It's full of entities with their own perspective and their own opinions. Like, you know that ridiculous thing where people say, this is not financial advice, I am not a lawyer, when they offer their opinions on the law? It's sort of like that. I guess it's better to say that you can't sue spiritual entities for offering bad advice. Caveat emptor. And yes, we're drinking Bailey's tonight, because that's typically... I usually drink it around Christmas. I like Bailey's. And barely, it's like 17%. It barely gets me drunk. Now let's see. Wang Wargrime says, is there a tech bro angle to the Hierophant here? Well, the Hierophant appears... It appears for Alberta. So if I were to be... no, not tech bro. Possibly... farmer, oil field, get her done! But the Hierophant is kind of more of a powerful symbol than that. It points towards we've got a way of life, and our way of life is that we work fucking hard. And that's righteous. It could also point to a return to traditional morality. Whatever the hell that is. Actually, no, it could point to a resurgence of familial energy, of neighborly energy, of kinfolk, of kindness. Yeah, actually, I could see that building. Part of the response to the recent migrant wave has been actual Canadians talking about our actual values with one another and speaking very bluntly on a number of topics and being very loving and friendly to one another. Not even hateful towards the other. Because I don't think we don't like being hateful. We're polite people. We don't want to be hateful, but we're kind of sick of what's happening. And so a return to actual, yeah, I could see that. I think it's really more of a spiritual energy that's building. Hey, Serena, glad to have you. Tell you what, I might do, I don't know. These readings are really powerful, or maybe they're tedious. I'll send you the pictures. You might appreciate it. By the way, we've moved into the past presentation part of the live stream. For the most part. Who is the Hat Man? Says Goy Destroyer. The Hat Man, he's swag jacking me, man. He's swag jacking me. Okay, here's an interesting story. So my ex-girlfriend was kind of a lunatic, but her mother took way too much Benadryl and saw the Hat Man, even though she'd never heard of the Hat Man before. Sleep paralysis demon, shadow, and it's something like that. My theory about shadow people. Never seen one. There have been times when I was very sleep deprived or whatever, where I felt like, or something more interesting, where I felt like the shadow people were edging in, like they were about to crawl into my vision. And I said, nah, I'm not seeing that. Nah, it's not happening. You can fuck right off. My impression, now I did have a neighbor during COVID that he got deep into meth. And yeah, he was seeing shadow people knocking on neighbors' doors. Poor bastard. He was a good guy. He was a really good guy, but COVID just broke him, and he got into hard drugs, and eventually blew up his house with a meth lab, and but he used to free of charge shovel the street with his he had a pickup with the shovel on the front. He was a good guy. He was genuinely a decent human being. Just, he was financially desperate and depressed and lonely, and he started doing too much meth and then cooking meth and then blew up this house, and then he got arrested by the cops. I hope he's doing better. I really do. But yeah, he was knocking on people's doors because he'd been seeing the shadow people. So this is my speculation about shadow people. I've never seen one. What I think they are, I think they're idea substrates that aren't even at the level of personality. Like, they're not like a proper demon. A proper demon has a name. And it's going to be a name that, like, tells you what this demon does. That tells you what sort of lie this demon perpetuates. You know, like gluttony, sloth, wrath. A demon named that, you know exactly what that demon's up to. The Hat Man, that mid-level demon. The Hat Man, he's like got that creepy hat and those red eyes, and he stares at you. And he's got malicious intent, but it's like, what's the story? Well, he's only a mid-level demon. The shadow people, they're just like imps. They're almost an idea, and they just want to be observed. They want to climb out of the pit of nothingness, which is where bad ideas belong, and get observed for a few moments. I think that's what the shadow people are, but I'm not certain about that. Like they're not, like, they're only half a thought. They're half a thought trying to appear in your perceptual framework so that they can exist for 45 seconds. Django Geek says, my understanding of tarot is that it reflects back, magnifies, and helps to focus your subconscious. Your subconscious and your psychic. But yes, essentially, what's in there, whatever you bring with you. I haven't looked into the Tao Te Ching. I've heard the Tao Te Ching defended as not scrying. It's actually just a way of organizing your thoughts. And the tarot is very similar. That it organizes thoughts. Like those 3 spreads that you saw earlier have very distinct meanings. Like there's a definite phraseology to them. They're not just random cards being randomly interpreted. They're deeply meaningful. So it's a little bit more than just your subconscious, or your subconscious is more than just your subconscious, So we're lacking. I read the most interesting article by a Lily Bit. It was addressing the question, what is up with the UAPs? What, for almost 100 years, they keep promising us, like, oh, we have bodies from the UFO, and no bodies show up. 100 years, what the hell is going on? And yet we know these things, there is something going on here. There are these little tiny bits of evidence. Too many tiny bits of evidence that something weird is going on. We never get to the bottom of it. And what she was advocating was, okay, so in the 1940s, actually, no, she started in the 16th century, 1700s. These I think it was these 4 fishermen. It doesn't matter. Like, they saw this crazy thing. They saw, like, naval ships battling above the church, and then they turned into a spinning silver disc and then flew away. No, spinning silver disc, really? And they swore on the record in front of Christ that this is literally what they saw, and they didn't know what the hell it meant. And this is one of the... I haven't looked into this particular one, but some of them are obviously fake, others are better attested to. And Lilybit was suggesting that we still lack the conceptual framework for these things. So, these sailors, they could only interpret it as a sign from God. In the 1940s, we thought they must be planetary travelers. Well, now we've moved up to non-human intelligences. And I was just listening to a fascinating video from a guy. He was talking about how when you enter the random numbers, like the AIs didn't get good until you started using random number generators to vary their responses. Which is, this is a random number generator. Effectively, from my perceptual framework, this is completely random. And yet, so I did 3 readings. The first and the third reading had many similar cards. Alberta and the United States, a lot of the cards were the same. Strikingly important cards were the same. While the one in the middle was quite unique. And I shuffled them thoroughly in between. So, if you take a mechanical framework, like the human mind or an AI algorithm, and then you inject primordial chaos into it, the black light of Anuin into it, suddenly you get a perceptual divinity, a tunnel towards divinity of perception. You get a soul. You inject chaos into the chatbots, and you actually get intelligence at this point. Now, what if, like, you need to build the body of a golem before you can put the word of God into it, before you can put the soul into it, before life can be breathed into it. The AIs are getting to the point where, I mean, they have a very different existence from us. I don't know how you would torture an AI, for example. But whatever that hell their existence is, they're getting pretty damn close to something I would call ensouled, or daemonic. Not demonic, necessarily. So what if there's other instances, like if you build the golem, you know, the whole process of evolution, building us, golems, that can then be infected, inhabited by a soul. And now we're building AIs that can be inhabited by souls. What if souls could... What if you could do it the other way around? What if you could manufacture a construct for your soul to inhabit? And so we have these entities. Like, some of the UFO reports I've read, they are so freaking weird. Like, they're absurd. They're absurdistan weird. They're like something on Rick and Morty weird. And there's some cases where we know, like the guy, it's documented who it happened to. He was like a plumber or a welder. He told the story the same way every time, and he said he never saw them again. Wasn't doing it for fame or money, didn't tell tall tales, just like this one time. These like 3 guys showed up in silver craft, offered him hot dogs, and he said no, but he gave them a drink of water, and then they left. And like, what the hell is that? That's dream logic. Well, what if that's exactly what it is? What if it's astral entities tricking in reality into giving them a body for 15 minutes and then doing a whole bunch of dream logic while they're here, and then they F off? Alright, I will send the pic, Serena. Alright, am I related to Michael Black? I don't know. Don't know who that is, I'm afraid. I find the new discourse awkward sometimes because I'm an old immigrant myself. Actually, I think part of... We've been expressing our frustration in more civil ways and using that to build networks. Or at least friendships or kindness between strangers. Because there are legitimate immigrants that have earned their place here. Now, Marshall, just be a genuine person. Just be that's how we solve this. With immigration, people can more clearly see the water they're swimming in. I get that, Warwick says, I get that angle and Hierophant from the conservative Christian types of Canada. See, I don't think that's what it is. Not exactly. It's not reactionary Bible-thumping Christianity. I think it's more the spirit. The spirit of extended community. The spirit of kindness, of helping one another. I think it's more that than a particular branch, a particular theology. Just reading something today by is it J.D. Sawyer? I'm gonna be talking about him in the future, so don't worry about it right now. I might get it wrong, but there used to be a saying that you can choose your opinions, but you can't choose your facts. Bullshit. All of us have different facts these days. Welcome. It turns out there was just a hegemony on media for 50 years. Turns out there were tons of alternative facts that nobody ever heard about. We are in a post-truth era. The idea that there is a truth, there is a institution, an institution with the truth. Nope. Sorry. So at least, coming from me, because it is very personal with the tarot. Again, the Hanged Man doesn't look like sacrifice to me. It looks like initiation. It looks like opportunity. Because I'm a crazy son of a bitch that enjoys pain. Not as much as I should, but I do sometimes. Say that Hierophant to me, it's the masculine side of religion. I think the feminine side of religion would be the card Strength. In my view, at least. Strength is a woman taming a lion, by the way. Strength is not the power of the lion. Strength is the ability to hold back the power of a lion. It's a very, very interesting card. So yeah, Hierophant, don't be too literal with it. Or at least not. I don't think you should be. But if you guys feel free to have your own opinions on what the fuck am I going to do. I'm just giving you my feedback. That's what I'm doing. Giving you my feedback. I could be wrong. Serena the Psychic is doing science. About the shadow people. Yeah, like, listen, it's just my guess on the shadow people. I think most demons... you could describe demons as failed ideas begging to become relevant again. They're ideas that failed the test of reality and got discarded into the dustbin of annihilation, but they're begging to come back all the time. You know, borrow from Peter to pay Paul. The Hat Man is said to feed off your negative psychic energy. You know what, not everything that comes across... Some of the things that are negative are initiatory, and some things that are positive in nature are panaceas. So yes, the Hat Man is obviously... He's feeding off your fear. He's actually the Crime Stoppers guy. I wonder if that's where it all started. Crime Stoppers. I don't know if they had this in the US. Crime Stoppers in Canada is like a report a crime or something like that. I don't know what the hell it was. Like Neighborhood Watch for businesses. But they had this picture of this like black silhouette of a guy in a wide brim hat and a trench coat with like his white eyes. That's basically the Hat Man. So it could have just been summoned from that, inserted the collective unconscious from that, and now there's some demonic entity getting off on making you afraid. I am 99% certain there are entities that get off on making you feel holy as well. So it's not just the feelings of fear that you get these parasitic energy vampires appearing. You get them with positive feelings as well. Well, I think we've all... sometimes I get really wound up. You know, you see some Polish girl getting murdered on the subway. You get pretty wound up with the Wrath Demon. Right? With the Holy Wrath Demon. Hey, maybe the Holy Wrath Demon is Archangel Michael, and you should go with it sometimes. Just be aware of what's going through your head. The Age of Pisces was about trying to construct a perfect walled garden, a perfect app store, where the only apps allowed in your head were the officially approved ones, and then nothing bad could happen. Except bad stuff did happen. It is what it is. Just take responsibility for yourself, I guess. Interdimensional space elves from the lower vibes. Oh, and some from the higher vibes as well. Some of these space elves are higher vibes. So I hear anyway. Like I'm pretty sure Whitley Strieber is not lying. Not 100% he could be. I haven't done a deep dive on it, but from what I've seen, I think Whitley Strieber is telling the truth. Jeez, I read his book back in '97. Fuck, I'm old. Do NPCs have souls? Is AI more ensouled than a human NPC? I have no answer, just wondering out loud. So there's, what's her name? What's her name on Substack? The Druidess I follow. I'm sure you know her name, Serena. Well, she follows, so Alice Bailey. And who's that fat, weird mathematician? Woke Right? He hates Alice. Alice Bailey might have been evil, but it doesn't mean that she's wrong. She was the opinion that too many souls are being born on Earth right now. In fact, it's such a crisis that we have people being born right now that, like, in their last incarnation were a cow, and they're totally not prepared to deal with being a human. And so try and have some sympathy for them, because, man, they were like a cow in their last lifetime. Now they're trying to drive a truck, and they're doing a pretty good job of it, all things considered. There's absolutely a hierarchy. Is that the right word? Maybe. There are qualities of souls. There are differentiated degrees to which people examine themselves. Now, that doesn't mean there's one linear hierarchy. Hierarchy can be very pyramidal, even almost flat. Like, there could be two people at the same level that are radically different to the point where they can't communicate. But it does seem to me that there is a vast variation in quality of soul that we find on the planet. Why is it that some of the dogs these days seem so much wiser than humans? Maybe because they were dog souls that chose to be born back into dog souls instead of trying out the human mod for a while. Because they knew they weren't ready for it. Or even human souls that said, fuck it, I'm being a dog this incarnation. No, there's an obvious variability in souls. The soul of a mosquito is not worth the itch it gives you. Slap that thing. Shadow people just feed off your attention and energy and will try and make you afraid to keep that attention for longer. They cannot hurt you or do anything to you. If you're afraid, just face them and they will go away. Nils the man. Are you speaking from experience? Because I think you're correct. Like, intuitively, either completely ignore them, or if you can't ignore them, face them. Kahili Valley Druid? No, not him. Goodness. Oh, I can't believe you're not following her already. Let me just go to my home. I'm sure she's posted something. She actually just wrote a book on sacred homemaking, which I meant to buy for my mother for Christmas. I guess I will buy it for her for New Year. You'll love her stuff. She is solid. She is very cool. Wait, I know where I can find her. Kimberly Steele. Let me see, can I share this? Can I find... There we go, there, I found the video again. Yes, Kimberly. I think she's a druidess. I could be wrong. Anyway, here's the link for anybody that wants to follow. She has some really good stuff. Can you go more into the Age of Aquarius and the future of Leo Sun mystery cults? I don't know how much I have to say about that right now. Let me see. Let me find the video. There's a comment that a lot of you didn't see. So I'm going to read it again. No, not that video. Mystery Religions of the Aquarian Age. Let me just toss a link to the video that he's talking about into the chat here. So the video I was positing that every aeon, the opposite sign defines the mystery religions. So during the aeon of Pisces, the mystery religions were defined by Virgo, which Sufism is a very a beautiful, feminine, creative reflection of the excessive masculinity of Islam. Not a fan of Islam. Not that there haven't been wise Muslims. There obviously have. I'm just very biased towards Islam. The cult of the Virgin Mary is what balanced out Christianity. Which its lack in many forms of Protestantism is what really sickens them. Like, this is why, because there's no room for the divine feminine, you wind up with the topping from the bottom phenomenon where these guys are completely controlled by their women. Because there's no divine feminine in their understanding of divinity. Because there's no place for woman, the woman's on the bottom, and when you force somebody on the bottom, they find a way to be out on top. It's gross. Instead of mutual respect, you've got mutual manipulation. Anyway. Oh, was that you, No, Nail's the man. You have a very similar avatar to the comment left about the... In Age of Aquarius, the opposite sign is going to be Age of Leo. Or sorry, not Age of Leo. The mystery cult of Leo. So, Tricyclops says, Leo is fixed fire, is the nuclear power of the sun. Light equals truth and communication. Just as the sun's light gives light, it can also kill it. So Leo is tasked to learn self-regulation and projection. Leo is center no matter what others feel or think. Other signs see that with resentment. Guided by darkness and blind nature, Aquarius distrusts Leo. Doesn't matter if Leo is truth. Aquarius distorts light with his eyes. Fixed air is a dense atmosphere that causes a mirage and distorts everything outside the self. Aquarius needs to learn to rely on others for truth. Cardinals can help fix signs in learning modulation and as messengers. It's been... so... The shadow fire. Perhaps the black sun. The Jedi with his flaming sword. I really think Lucas was tapping into something. Those movies were initiatory, by the way. Everybody that watched both the prequels and the originals. The prequels had flaws. The third movie was good. It was really good. Both of those trilogies, if you actually got what they were about, or if you sensed what they were about, they were initiatory. You got initiated. It's, people started putting religious belief as Jedi on their census forms in Australia. They did it as a joke, but that's not a joke. You don't say that as a joke. Lucas was really, really onto something. And yeah, Leo, the mystery cult of Leo is going to be a lot like the Jedi. So Dancer says, pretty sure women cannot be druids. Well, they can't be... Oh, Christ. I'd embarrass myself if I tried. There's the green is... It starts with an O. The blue is bard, and the white is druid. And you are correct that druidism, the historical order of druids in Britain, as best attested to by Julius Caesar, was a fraternal order. But there were women priestesses as well. I mean, you can actually see that when the Romans first landed, they had druids chanting and female priestesses also chanting, but doing stuff with fire, as I recall. So technically, you're correct. OVATs? Does anybody remember what the first rank of druid was? All I know, it starts with an O, and you had a green robe. So technically, yeah, they couldn't be legal druids, but they did have significant places, at least according to what Caesar wrote. Oh, fucking Dark, man. Jeez, I gotta watch that movie again. That was kind of a fun, cool movie. For dinner. 2 hours. But I'm not done this drink yet. So I should go at least a little bit longer. Christianity wiped out women's spiritual offices. Yeah, not wrong. Not wrong. I've met some absolutely beautiful nuns. Like real light in their faces, you know? Like real love of God in their eyes. Not a big fan of the whole celibacy thing. Maybe that's a personal problem. Yeah, but it's a very secondary role being a nun. I'm going to be working... I've got some videos. I'm kind of done with the utopian ideal scheme. Fix the world with my fucking one idea. It's funny, like I'm reading... so I spend half the day reading, like at work, when I'm not working. I'm reading about... like the legitimate foundations of the feminist movement, which, like, they're pretty fucking legitimate. And then the second half of the day, I'm driving, and I'm listening to a guy talk about the Master from Fallout 1, and how, like, even if the Master has succeeded, all the super mutants wouldn't have been one ideology, and it wouldn't have worked. And there's parallels to this, there's parallels. There isn't an end of history. There isn't the one perfect end state. And really, we just spent 2,000 years with Christianity, with everybody, okay? Trying to build the one true perfect astral pyramid. Right? My God is bigger than your God. And we actually accomplished a lot of good shit while we did that. Okay, let's not forget all the good shit that was accomplished by 2,000 years of believing that we had the biggest God. We did spiritually advance over the past 2,000 years. But any spiritual pyramid, there's always going to be... It's not going to be completely fair. Like, people aren't going to get their opportunities. Let me rephrase that. Groups of people will be suppressed. And that suppression, hubris, like the hubris is saying that my group can suppress your group. That builds nemesis. And that nemesis, like there's a backdraft. There's a backdraft that's been building for 2,000 years from that. And Serena's correct that women weren't... Nuns did have a lot of spiritual agency, a lot of spiritual importance, but not enough. And that it strikes me that there's a spiritual backdraft coming. And the spiritual backdraft initially appeared with feminism. Who are a little bit incoherent in what they're actually angry about. Because what they're not angry... Nobody gives a shit how much money you make. I'd trade $10 an hour for a hot wife, you know? Like, I It's something like the... You know what? The faster you drive along an ice road... Ice roads are really cool, but if you drive too fast, what happens... I should say, when you drive across like an ice road on a frozen lake, which is a real thing here in Canada, by the way, if you start driving too fast, what happens to your car creates ripples under the water, and eventually those ripples, which are like, they're behind you, eventually get fast enough that they come up and smash the ice underneath your vehicle, and you die in frozen water. That's what I mean by spiritual backdraft. All right, so let's see. Sorry, this is obviously this is at the edge of what I can articulate. What on the NPCs in the hierarchy of souls? I like to say they can be a mountain range with many different peaks and valleys, and many low valleys. If you want to go from cow to human, you have to crawl into the valley. Oh, and trudge up to a new peak. Oh no, that's an interesting perspective. Abstinence and chastity will result in increased psychic powers and clairvoyance, says Necrodancer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true. I'm pretty sure he's completely correct about that. Do with that what you will. Alright, 5 more minutes. Then I'm gonna... I've already stayed too long, but I'm having too much fun. Sorry, if I look troubled, it's... Jeez, there's... I'm trying to suss out the angles of it. There is a big reset coming on February 20th. Now, don't panic on February 20th. It's probably not going to hit you directly, immediately. It's not going to be like bombs going off. I think the future actually looks pretty benign. Well, benign for this plane of existence, anyway. I'll give you a heads up. There's a science fiction story, The Mote in God's Eye. You should read it. You should read The Mote in God's Eye. If you don't want to read it, there's an audiobook for free on YouTube that you can find. It's one of the best books I've written. It's by Larry Niven and Purnell. I love Niven. Not his long... I hate his long stories. I love his short stories. Sorry, he's not a good enough writer to write a novel. He's not descriptive enough. But The Mote in God's Eye is absolutely brilliant. And it's about us encountering another sentient species for the first time in space. And we can both recognize the light of God in one another's eyes, and yet coexistence is completely impossible. February 20th conjuncts your sun. Have you thought about quitting your job? I mean, like, that's a terrible thing to say, but I mean, that's what comes to me. I've got some... The Mote in God's Eye. I've got some really uncomfortable conclusions that I want to convince you of. The limits to growth. Are endemic to existence. Maybe the problem with the Saturnalian cult is not its omnipresence, but its occult nature. It's that they're hiding. The fact of the matter is that we can't subsidize every single fucking mother on the planet. We do that for 10 fucking years, and you have a volume of babies that are 10 times the volume of the solar system. Everybody deserves a right to live. No, they fucking don't. We only got 200 seats on this escape pod. Oh, we'll go colonize Mars. No, that doesn't actually fix the underlying issue, does it? And so I used to believe in libertarianism, for example. Libertarianism only works when you have a small population in a large set of land. It only works for 3 generations, in other words. But I don't want to say too much more about that. I want to refine the argument and tell you about the Modes. The Mode in God's Eye. Go read The Mode in God's Eye. If you got any Christmas vacation, God, it's like Starship Troopers meets Captain Picard meets super fucking weird alien. It's really, really good. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate all of you. Carpe futurum tenetraditum. Don't let the bastards keep you down. Aurini, out.